She never told you she was interested, but she showed you and 7 times. The problem isn't that women are complicated. The problem is that nobody taught you how to read them. Think about the last time a woman was warm with you one moment, then suddenly quiet the next. You probably told yourself, she's just moody, or maybe I did something wrong. But what if that shift wasn't confusion? What if it was actually one of the clearest signs she was feeling something real? Most men spend their entire lives waiting for a woman to say the words. 3 words, 4 words, something direct, something obvious, something that removes all the guesswork. But here's what nobody tells you. That moment rarely comes first. And by the time it does, she's already been showing you for weeks. This is the gap, the space between what she feels and what she says. And inside that gap lives an entire language, built not from words, but from movement, energy, behavior, and emotion. A language that most men walk past every single day without ever realizing it exists. Here's the truth about female psychology that changes everything once you understand it. A woman's attraction does not begin in her mind. It begins in her body, in her instincts, in her emotional responses, long before she's consciously decided anything. Her heartbeat changes before her thoughts do. Her behavior shifts before she even realizes why. And that means her actions are always one step ahead of her words. So if you want to understand what a woman truly feels, stop listening. Start watching. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact behavioral patterns that reveal genuine attraction, not the obvious surface-level stuff, not the things you already know, but the deep, subtle, psychological signals that most men completely overlook. The kind of signs that, once you see them, you cannot unsee. The kind that make you look back at past situations and suddenly understand everything that was happening right in front of you. And more than that, once you understand these patterns, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop overthinking every interaction. You start moving through situations with clarity because you actually understand what's happening in real time. But before we get into the signs themselves, you need to understand the foundation. Because without this, the signs won't make sense. Why doesn't a woman just say what she feels? It's not because she's playing games. It's not because she enjoys confusion. It comes down to emotional risk. When a woman expresses desire openly, she becomes vulnerable. She puts herself in a position where she could be rejected, judged, or taken advantage of. And for most women, that risk feels too high, especially early on, before she's sure about who you are. So instead of speaking it, she does something more instinctive. She tests the environment. She puts out small signals, subtle, deniable, easy to dismiss, and watches how you respond. If you respond with calm confidence and awareness, her signals become stronger. If you miss them, or worse, if you react awkwardly, she quietly pulls back and you never even know what just passed you by. This is why understanding her behavior matters so much more than memorizing pickup lines or rehearsing conversations, because the real communication was never happening in the words to begin with. Now, let's get into the signs. The first one is physical proximity, and it's hiding in plain sight. When a woman feels nothing for you, she naturally maintains distance. Not in a rude way, not obviously, just a quiet, invisible boundary that stays in place during every interaction. She's polite, she's friendly, but there's always a comfortable gap between you and her, and she never feels the need to close it. But when attraction enters the picture, that gap starts to shrink. And here's what makes this so powerful. She doesn't decide to close it. It just happens. Her body moves toward what it feels drawn to, completely independent of what her mind is trying to control. You'll notice it in small, easy-to-dismiss ways. In a group setting, her body gradually angles in your direction even when she's in a conversation with someone else entirely. When she sits down, she picks the seat that puts her closer to you rather than the one that keeps comfortable distance. When you're standing together, she doesn't step back when the space between you naturally closes. Instead, she stays right there, comfortable, relaxed, present. The detail that separates this signal from random behavior is repetition. One instance means nothing. But when you notice it happening again and again, when proximity to you becomes her default rather than her exception, that pattern is telling you something her mouth hasn't said yet. Pay attention also to what happens after the conversation technically ends. Does she leave immediately or does she linger? Does she find a small reason to extend the interaction, a follow-up question, a comment that wasn't necessary, a pause before she finally walks away? That lingering is her body refusing to leave a space where it feels connected, and that refusal is instinctive, not calculated. The second sign lives entirely in her eyes, and most men misread it completely. Here's the mistake. Men expect interested eye contact to look bold and steady, a strong gaze that communicates confidence and desire. But the most revealing eye contact doesn't look like that at all. The most revealing kind is the kind that disappears the moment you catch it. She looks at you. You turn, and she's already looking away. She finds something else to focus on, adjusts her hair, shifts her attention. And most men interpret that as disinterest. She looked away. She must not care. But psychologically, that reaction means the complete opposite. A woman who feels nothing looks away calmly, without urgency, without any reaction at all. But when she pulls her gaze away quickly, it means you triggered an emotional response before she could compose herself. The speed of that look away is the signal. There's another layer to eye contact that goes even deeper. When a woman is truly attracted to you, her eyes will occasionally drop to your mouth while you're talking. This is not a conscious choice. It's a subconscious signal that her mind is already imagining physical closeness, even if she hasn't acknowledged that to herself yet. It lasts only a fraction of a second, but if you're paying attention, you'll catch it. And when you do, understand what it means. Over time, as comfort builds, the eye contact shifts again. It becomes softer, warmer. She holds it slightly longer than a neutral interaction would require. Not intensely, not challengingly, but with a quiet kind of steadiness that feels different from casual conversation. That warmth creates emotional tension without a single word being spoken. The key when you notice any of this? Stay relaxed. Don't shift your energy dramatically. Don't make it obvious that you caught something. Because the moment it becomes a big deal, the natural flow breaks and she instinctively becomes more guarded. Subtlety recognized is powerful. Subtlety called out loud disappears. The third sign moves beneath the surface entirely. It's emotional openness. This one is deeper than proximity, deeper than eye contact. This is where something real begins to form. Because a woman who is truly starting to feel something for you will begin, slowly and carefully, to let you see parts of herself that she doesn't show everyone. Understand this about most women. They are highly selective about vulnerability. Their fears, their past experiences, the things that have shaped who they are, the stories that carry real emotional weight, these are protected. They don't come out in casual conversation. They don't get handed to just anyone. They are reserved for people who have earned a certain level of trust, so when she starts sharing those things with you, when the conversation moves from surface-level topics to something more personal, more honest, more revealing, pay attention, not just to what she's saying, but to how she's saying it. Her voice changes. It gets a little quieter, a little softer. Her focus narrows to you. There's a different quality to the interaction. More present, more intentional, more real. And in that moment, she's not just sharing a story, she's testing you. She's watching how you receive it. Do you listen fully, or do you wait for your turn to speak? Do you stay present, or do you redirect too quickly? Do you understand the emotional weight of what she just gave you, or do you treat it like ordinary conversation? Your response to her vulnerability determines whether she continues opening up or quietly closes back down. And most men fail this test not because they're unkind, but because they try to solve rather than understand. They offer advice when she wanted presence. They fix when she needed to feel heard. The right response is simpler than most men realize. Stay calm, stay engaged, reflect back what she said in a way that shows you actually absorbed it. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let her feel that what she shared landed somewhere safe. Because here's the deeper psychological truth. For a woman, emotional safety and physical attraction are not separate. They are directly connected. She cannot feel genuinely drawn to someone she doesn't feel emotionally secure with. Emotional openness is the bridge, and once that bridge is built, it carries everything else. The fourth sign becomes physical, but still quietly, carefully, with full deniability. Touch is one of the most revealing signals in human behavior, and women are deeply aware of physical boundaries. When there is no attraction, those boundaries stay firm, not in an obvious or unfriendly way, but in the natural, invisible way that keeps distance between two people who feel neutral toward each other. So when those boundaries begin to soften, it means something significant is shifting. The touch rarely starts dramatically. It begins small. A hand briefly on your arm to emphasize a point she's making. A light brush against your shoulder in passing. A moment where she could have stepped around you but chose to pass close enough that contact happened. These touches are always brief, always deniable, easy for her to dismiss as accidental if she needed to. But they are not accidental. What distinguishes attraction-based touch from friendly or neutral touch is a combination of two things: frequency and lingering. Friendly touch happens once and moves on, but when attraction is driving it, the touch comes back. It repeats. And occasionally, just occasionally, it holds for a fraction of a second longer than it needed to. That extra moment of contact is her comfort expressing itself physically. Watch also for what happens immediately after she touches you. Does she maintain eye contact and continue the interaction naturally? Does a small smile appear without her fully meaning it to? These are confirmation signals, her body affirming what the touch already communicated. The mistake most men make is reacting in one of two extreme ways. They either ignore it completely, not out of confidence but out of unawareness, and miss the signal entirely. Or they react too obviously, making the moment awkward by drawing attention to it. Neither works. What works is staying natural. Acknowledging the energy without making it a statement. Allowing the closeness without forcing more of it. Because physical connection that builds organically is far more powerful than anything rushed. The fifth sign is one you feel before you see it. It's the shift in her emotional energy around you. This one requires a different kind of observation. You're not looking for a single behavior, you're noticing a contrast. How does she carry herself with other people versus how she carries herself specifically around you? With most people, she's simply herself, calm, consistent, neutrally engaged. But around you, something in the atmosphere changes. Her energy picks up. Her reactions become slightly more animated. The things you say land differently than the same things would coming from someone else. She laughs more easily, not forced laughter, but the kind that escapes before she decides whether to let it. She becomes more playful, more present, more alive in the interaction. This is emotional activation. Your presence is doing something to her internal state that she cannot fully control, and it shows up in the contrast between how she is with you and how she is with everyone else. Sometimes it shows up as nervousness, and this is where men consistently misread the signal. A woman who feels completely neutral around you has no reason to feel nervous. There's no emotional investment, no stake in how she's coming across. But when she cares about your perception of her, when your opinion actually matters, her body responds to that. She becomes slightly more self-aware. She adjusts herself, her energy has a little more electricity in it. That nervous energy, the slight fidgeting, the extra awareness, the laugh that comes a little too easily, is not anxiety. It's the physical manifestation of caring. And caring is the beginning of everything. Here's what makes this sign tricky. It isn't always consistent. One conversation she's warm and engaged, the next she's slightly quieter or more contained. Men interpret this as mixed signals. But what's actually happening is emotional management. She feels something she hasn't fully processed yet, and sometimes that internal pull creates visible tension in her behavior. The inconsistency isn't random. It's the evidence of something real happening beneath the surface. The sixth sign is the one that breaks most men, and it's the most misunderstood signal of all. She gets close. She's warm. The connection feels strong and real and present. And then, she pulls back. She becomes slightly less available. Her responses get shorter. She creates a little space where closeness just was, and in that moment, most men feel it like a door closing in their face. So they do what feels instinctive, they chase, they double down, They try to recreate what was just there a moment ago, and in doing so, they destroy the very thing they were trying to hold on to. Here's what's actually happening in that moment, from a psychological standpoint. When attraction becomes strong enough to feel real, when it stops being casual and starts carrying genuine emotional weight, it creates vulnerability. And vulnerability, for most people, triggers a protective instinct. She wants to feel that closeness, but she also needs to make sure she's safe feeling it. So she pulls back, not to push you away, but to regulate the intensity of what she's feeling inside. This is the push-pull dynamic, and once you understand it, it stops feeling like rejection and starts feeling like exactly what it is, evidence that something significant is happening for her emotionally. The pullback is a test, even if she doesn't consciously frame it that way. She's watching to see how you respond. Do you become anxious and chasing, which signals emotional instability? Or do you stay grounded and consistent, which signals strength? When you stay steady, when you don't collapse into the distance she just created, when you don't reach desperately across it, you pass the test. You communicate through your behavior that you are not controlled by the push and pull of her emotions. And that stability is exactly what makes it safe for her to come back. And she does come back. That's the part men miss when they react too quickly. The pullback is never permanent, unless the reaction to it makes it permanent. When you stay calm, she returns. And when she returns after pulling back, she comes back stronger, more open, more willing to let the connection deepen than she was before she created the distance. Now you've seen all 6 patterns, but understanding them intellectually is only the beginning. Because knowing what to look for changes nothing unless you also change how you respond. The biggest transformation isn't learning to spot these signals. It's learning to hold yourself steady when you do. Most men either miss the signs completely or, when they finally catch one, react in a way that disrupts everything. They get excited, they rush, they apply pressure where patience was required, and pressure, in the context of genuine attraction, almost always works against you. What creates real momentum is something far simpler and far more powerful. Awareness combined with composure. You notice what's happening. You understand what it means. And you allow it to develop at the pace it naturally wants to develop without forcing it forward or pulling it back. Here is the final thing worth understanding. A woman rarely says what she feels before she feels completely safe saying it, and she decides whether she feels safe not based on what you tell her, but based on what she observes in you over time. She watches how you handle calm moments and charged ones. She watches whether you become someone different when the energy shifts. She watches whether you are the same man in every moment or whether your behavior is being controlled by hers. When you are consistently yourself, present, aware, grounded, not chasing, not performing, you become the kind of person she can finally say the words to. Because you've already proven through everything she's watched that you were worth saying them to. The signs were always there. Now you know how to see them. If any of this made you think of a specific situation or a specific person, drop it in the comments. Tell me which sign surprised you the most, or which one you now realize you missed. I read everything, and if you want to know exactly how to respond in the moment when you catch these signals, so you never lose the opportunity again, that's exactly what the next video covers. Don't miss it.